people for what we want our downtown to look like will remove the potential for repeated fights over all of the upcoming developable properties in our downtown. If we create a vision, those people approaching Sebastopol to come here to develop a project will know clearly what our expectations are. And I think that that would allow us to streamline their application process, which would in turn result in lower costs. And I think in combination with other very many attractive features of Sebastopol would make us very attractive to new business owners, entrepreneurs, people expanding their businesses or starting new locations. And I think it will significantly increase business in our downtown and thereby increase our economic vitality. Thank you.
The general plan update is likely one of the top 3 issues and reasons you should be selecting your council member this election. For the next 4 years, this city council that you elect is going to be responsible for how our town develops and grows for the next 20 years. In regards to your specific questions, I've been a significant advocate around stopping future drive-thrus in the downtown core. Anything that encourages and increases automobiles and traffic in our downtown core needs to be decreased and eliminated. Our general plan needs to focus clearly on protecting our environment. I know there's been some discussion recently about putting a bypass around Sebastopol. And for me, a bypass means less engagement for our downtown Main Street businesses, and it means paving over our environment, trees, the laguna, and areas around town. And for me, adding a new asphalt road around town is not an option that I see as very viable. In the general plan, we have to look at where our downtown core is, where we want our Main Street businesses to be, how we want them to develop. Do we want seas of asphalt like the CVS Chase project proposes, or do we want denser, more usable space in that valuable area? Every square foot of Sebastopol, with us being so small, needs to be utilized to the best of its ability. We need businesses that create sales, we need office spaces that create careers and well-paid jobs, and we need residential spaces in the downtown core for people to live, work, that are affordable, and live their lives in a pedestrian-friendly way in our town. Thank you.
When we did the general plan update before, what we had was a citizens advisory group that met for a year, and it had citizens on it from all different walks of life, different ages, different interests, and that generally represented the full spectrum of our city. And I'd like to see that happen again, because it's very important to get the public's input on what we would like to envision for our future. So if you do elect me, I will work hard to see if we can't create another citizens advisory group. The other thing that we would want to do is then have our planning commission, which is working on it now, to also take a look at our general plan as best as possible. Now, you have to understand that a full general plan update is very expensive, and what we're actually doing right now is getting some of the background information done by Sonoma State students. And we're going to have a limited amount of energy and money to put into this plan. So it'll be very important to get citizen input in place of having a lot of consultants. One of the things that we do have in existence, and it definitely needs updating, is the downtown master plan. And that is the document which gets folded into the general plan that should be updated to include the kind of information and consensus that we have on what we'd like to see in our downtown. Our zoning ordinance is very specific, and there will probably need to be some changes to the zoning ordinance in order to implement the visions that are in a general plan. A general plan is by nature general, and it creates the visions, and then the zoning ordinance has the nuts and bolts in it that help create the reality from those visions. So we will need to be making some changes to that as well. So I look forward to working on that. Thank you.
to drive-throughs, I would like to see a general plan update that did not allow new drive-throughs to come through. And with regard to what I'd like to see increased there, particularly in large vacancies that have designation to be something that's not a good fit for Sebastopol, large multinational chain stores that have a lot of in and out traffic. I think a better replacement for that would be existing businesses that said they'd like to be there, which is production and distribution of organic food products, and also a green business incubator. I'd love to see the city do a land swap and potentially build a new city hall there and do something to alleviate our traffic congestion. So we do have a unique opportunity to work with Sonoma State. I went to the recent meeting of the subcommittee on process. And one thing that really alarmed me, and why I'm glad that I'm running, because I have a depth of knowledge on 10 years on issues pertaining to water. It wasn't clear where the water element was going to be focused on. And so using the wealth of resources we have available in terms of Sonoma County Water Coalition, which if you don't know about it, I suggest you look it up. It's about 32 different organizations, such as Sebastopol Water Information Group and the Sierra Club, and I'm there as representative for the Grayton Community Projects. And so other people who are involved in that helped with the county's general plan. So it's important that we know what's going on with our groundwater and what's happening with the habitat, because the Laguna is internationally has gotten attention on being impaired water body, so we have a lot of opportunities there. So some of the other ways that I can help with the general plan, besides encouraging everyone to get involved, is knowing where the resources are financially to help Sebastopol, so that we can build a general plan around a financial base that will help us restore, perhaps, be able to buy out with open space, Luna Vista, and create hostels in Village Park and areas for extra income people. Thank you.
Well, that general plan's pretty good. It covered just about everything. There are some things, of course, that do need to be updated, but unfortunately, we didn't have the funding to do a full bore update. So we have a wonderful process with the Sonoma State students, and we have the community. And I'm sure whatever updates we need, we'll see them in there. I think this recent experience with the CVS project, some people don't like the rules in our process, so if we need to change them, then the community should have a voice in changing those so that they fit more with the values of our community. I'm also worried, as usual, I keep saying this, we need housing downtown. We have some underutilized properties that would be perfect for housing. If you want to get people out of cars, live downtown. Then you've got services and you can walk or bike and do what you want. So I really want to see a focus on that as well. Traffic. With or without CVS, we have traffic problems. I have heard this from practically every person that I have talked to going door to door. I cannot believe the change in the 4 years from 2008 to now with the concern about traffic and wanting to do something. And yes, people are suggesting a bypass, but there's a way to do it without paving over another road. We have roads that could serve that. When I first was elected, I asked Supervisor Carrillo to help me see about putting a sign at Fulton Road and 12 to say Errol, Grayton, Forestville, Guerneville. We took it forward to Santa Rosa, got all there, got that way, but Santa Rosa said the intersection won't support the traffic, so we can consider it in a few years when we upgrade it. And I'll be back knocking on their door. But I've also started a survey of downtown business owners, asking them what they think about some type of bypass. I'm getting some good positive comments back, and I'm also asking them, what do they think about putting our downtown back to 2 ways? So, my time is up, but those are some of the things I want to see. Thank you.
Remarkably, we got 30 minutes into this before anybody mentioned Chase or CVS, but that doesn't apply to your cars. Probably the single most topic that has come up here. So, to sort of distill down the concerns that a lot of people are expressing, and I'm sure you've all heard this before, primary question seems to be, if the project, as approved, were not to stand, if the developer were to come back seeking changes of any sort, reopening that whole process, what changes would you accept? What changes would you push for? I believe, Robert, we're up to the point where you get to be the first one.
Always fun to be the first. So,
December.
I believe that we should look at the project, look at how we can incorporate solar into the CVS project, like Councilman Slater is working to develop an ordinance requiring any commercial buildings over 4,000 square feet to require solar panels. I believe that the pedestrian-friendly door on the front corner is consistent. Driveway to Petaluma Avenue should continue to be an emergency vehicle access only driveway. I don't know if people know, but recently Caltrans sent a letter to the city of Sebastopol and to the developer stating that they do not agree and they will not allow a left-hand turning lane from Highway 12 into the project. For me, CVS Chase is not in line with our general plan and is not in line with the values of Sebastopol. Last week, I made a statement that about 80% of constituents and citizens in Sebastopol do not support the CVS Chase project. And in reviewing that, on July 28th, my campaign had 22 volunteers spread across the city and deliver 2,800 surveys to every door in Sebastopol. The survey results are in, with nearly 4% of Sebastopol responding. 80.9% said they did not support the design of the CVS Chase. I will continue, no matter what, to uphold the voice of the Sebastopol people. I am running for council to be a representative of our citizens, not special interests, not developers, not real estate agents, but our people.
I'm a big proponent of solar, and I would agree that I think solar should be incorporated into the project. I also believe there should be a corner door on the project, as has been conditioned. I don't see any reason to overturn any of the conditions that have been placed on the project. I think it should move forward as it is currently designed. I do know it has to go before the design review board for both signage and lighting, and I'm hoping that it will go through smoothly and that there won't be garish signs or garish lighting. We'll want to see dark sky lighting and a very tasteful amount of signage. So I think as long as there's enough light in the parking lot to be safe, it doesn't need to be overly lit. Those are the kinds of things that still have to be approved. I do believe that the projects of both CVS and Chase do meet the zoning ordinance, and they meet portions of the general plan. And the general plan, as some people have said, is general, and there are positives and negatives in the plan that you could point to in either way to see if it's in conformance. And so these are the kinds of things that we want to look at with the future general plan rewrite to be more clear on the direction that we want to see. But as currently designed, I believe the project meets both the zoning ordinance and the general plan, and I support the conditions that have been placed on the project as it is right now. So I would like to see solar on the project, however.
Let me pick it up a little bit. I think if the current city council had been guided by a city manager who was really looking after the 99%, he would have reminded the city council that they work for the people. And when it was really clear what the majority of people wanted in this project or didn't want, and when the design review board and planning had their opportunities, I think that should have stood. I really question the traffic validity of the study, and I'm glad that someone is challenging that. I'm also very concerned about Frizzelli Enos. One of the conditions is on Abbott Avenue to make it, safer fire trucks would really impact that business that's been there longer than any business in this city. So I would really not accept anything that would impact Frizzelli Enos. Any new building going in there ought to first think beyond solar, but passive solar. How do you orient the building with the sun in mind to have the least amount of energy needed? So this is Sebastopol. We could really go beyond this. And if we look to cities like Sonoma who have bans on formula stores for their plazas, we could do something. So I hope there is an opportunity to create a project there that's going to be a lasting legacy and not a thorn in the side, constant traffic problems. So, this is where I say the best way to occupy Wall Street is to shop Main Street. We don't want Wall Street parking in the middle of our town. Thank you very much.
This project, when it came to the City Council I think 3 times on appeal, when I looked at the applicant and the process and what they had done, they had met the requirements that are set forth by the city. So regardless of who they are, chain store, big box, they were an applicant. They come to the city, they enter the application process, go through CEQA. When it comes to me, which it did, and doesn't always, it should stay, I guess, in planning and design review, but it came to us. As a city council member, what's most important to me is that I am doing what's best for the city, following the law, upholding our ordinances, and honoring the processes. And that's what I did in this project, and I stand by that decision. When I hear people say that it's a big chain store coming down here taking over, well, I have to look around downtown and I see some other chain stores down there. They're not the only one. But whether they're good or they're bad, they were the applicant, and I did the best job I could in handling the appeals. I think we've got the changes that we want. We want the door on Petaluma Avenue. They are doing the LED. I would definitely be open if they would add solar. I'm all for that. The question I have is the driveway, because the night that we decided on the final thing, Frizzelli Enos, the owner, got up at the very end of the meeting and he said, I have been in business here for 30 years. Do you know how this is going to impact us when all of the traffic from CVS is going to have to come onto Abbott Avenue? We have feed trucks and everything. They were very, very concerned. So in that appeal, in the agreement, there is the possibility for them to appeal the driveway after 90 days. And I'm okay with them appealing that. I just want to see how the whole thing works if the project happens.
First off, I'd just like to say it's encouraging that Councilmember Schaefer concurs with the traffic solutions that I've been campaigning on since the beginning of this race. I think they're excellent ideas, and I'm glad we share those in common. I would like to say that with CVS, it's hard to say where to start. According to state law, if they open an appeal for relief from conditions, they open the whole process. At that point, it's been my contention all along that this project's not even on the same planet as what should be at that site. The door definitely on the corner, that was something I've advocated for years. The removal of the driveway, conversion to a grass-covered EVA, that was my idea. Permeable pavers suitable for fire trucks. I think solar is something that I've been advocating for, that now all of a sudden is a big priority for commercial buildings all of a sudden after the fact. I think it's really important that people realize this project is far from approved. Far, far from approved. Caltrans themselves just said they're not going to allow a left turn into it. The developer hasn't accepted the conditions of the door and the EVA. There's a pending lawsuit by citizens. There's so many other factors still in play that the fact that the city council approved it is basically a regulatory step at this point. You know, the developer may even be out of contract on the property, so who knows? There's a lot of other things. The thing we're overlooking here is that if the ugly fence were removed and the weeds were abated, those buildings could be brought back into viable use until a better solution was found. Look at the Ford dealer down the street. It's got multiple businesses producing electric vehicles that create no pollution. That building is not that much different than the Pellini Chevrolet site. There's plenty of opportunity there for that site to produce cash flow for the Pellini family and to provide an opportunity to come up with a better solution for our town. Thank you.
I appreciate the show of enthusiasm. We have a finite amount of time, so you can spend it clapping or we can spend it talking about issues. I suggest maybe you hold your applause till we wrap things up a little later on. I have a card here I'm going to quote from verbatim. It says, "I am very tired of hearing about CVS." Goes on to ask about financial matters. Another card asks about Measure Y. Could we have a quick show of hands? Is everybody on the panel up here in favor of Measure Y? Anybody who's not? Okay. So the follow-up question to this is, if it doesn't pass, what is Plan B for Y, so to speak? What budget cuts would you prioritize? What immediate sources of revenue would you try to put in place to take up some of that slack? It's an immediate need, it's an immediate question, and we begin with Kathy Austin.
Well, I had suggested that we have a 1/4 cent sales tax instead of a 1/2 cent sales tax so that we wouldn't have the highest sales tax in the county. However, that's not what the council agreed to, and so I am supporting the council for the 1/2 cent sales tax. If it doesn't pass, it'll be difficult. There's no question. And we've already, I don't want to see any layoffs on our staff. We've lost a lot of our staff through attrition, and a number of the staff are doing more than their own job. They're doing 2 jobs, in some cases, like our city manager, 3 jobs. So it would be difficult to say where we need to cut. We still do have a reserve, and so we're not at death's door. But at the same time, what we really need are for people to start buying their gasoline in town and making sure if there's something you need, please buy it in town, because unfortunately the way that California has left cities to survive is through sales tax. We're hopefully going to be encouraging new businesses. We have a business outreach committee, and we'll be working very hard to bring good, solid businesses to town. And we just have to do the best that we can. With each, should the CVS go forward, I know nobody wants to hear from that, there will be an increase in property taxes. Some people feel it's there will be no gain in retail sales tax. However, most people don't realize CVS owns the other building that it's in currently and should be looking for tenants to take its place there as quickly as possible. So my hope is that we will see a net increase in sales tax revenue. My time is up. Sorry, thank you.
Well, if it didn't pass, then I would suggest that we look for another opportunity to find the 1/4 cent that would make it easier on both of us. The city is doing fairly well right now. It's been pretty well managed. I would say it's time to work in a regional level to go after the state and federal misappropriations. We just discovered what happened in the Parks Department in several other areas. So it's time for local governments to band together and demand audits and put these tax dollars back to work on the local level and give us more control. So also I have a background in sales, marketing, and advertising. I was involved in internet development back in 95, 96. I have a lot of those connections, so I want to find all the various ways that we can draw a wide net of appropriate businesses as well as utilize all the business development tools we have at hand to take existing businesses to another level of increasing returns on the investments without increasing our carbon footprint, without increasing our traffic. There's a lot of at-home businesses. We're a mecca for ingenuity that's around social, environmental justice and ingenuities to help make it easier for people to live greener lives. And so those are the types of talent and technologies that I'd like to see. And I'm combining a couple of different people's ideas. Where we place this, I don't know, but somewhere in the heart, which would be a science and art center that we involve high school students, college students, and small businesses in helping bring things to market and showing kids how to use the math and science skills and get interested in running their own businesses. So I think Sebastopol has a lot to attract, and we just maybe haven't been uncovering all those stones.
Well, if it doesn't pass, we better hope that Marlow opens fast, because we're going to need it. When the sales tax was first proposed, I opposed it. I find it would be a regressive tax. We have 5 or 6 low-income, median-income neighborhoods in this city, and I worry about people being able to shop here and afford that. Our sales tax could go up to 9.25 if Jerry Brown's tax passes as well, and it's worrisome to me about people still wanting to shop local here. I changed my mind on the tax, as I've said before, after meeting with Karen Kano and discussing the financial situation of the city, and we have twice before the council, we have had staff reports that describe the city as being in serious financial condition. Well, I take that very seriously, and for the CVS project, I did see the opportunity for more revenue. For the impact fees, for moving Barnes Avenue, $115,000, for improved property tax on a building that was assessed back in the 20s. I did see revenue opportunities, which was another positive for me for that project. But if it doesn't pass and the project doesn't come in, we're really going to have to start focusing on Sebastopol, really getting the buy local campaigns going, looking at ways of reasonable and managed growth to get some more businesses here. Hopefully our Entrepreneurs Project can launch some businesses. We have about 4 or 5 that may be ready to go through that. So I think as a community we'll come together, we'll work together, we'll make this happen, we'll figure it out like we always do. It would be good if it passed though, so I hope that you will vote for it when you go and vote or you fill out your absentee ballot. Thank you.
Well, I think it's no secret that most cities, certainly cities the size of Sebastopol, are struggling financially these days. And tax increases for sales tax are not uncommon. Many cities in Sonoma County have instituted these. Yes, will be slightly higher than some cities. I don't know if it's worth driving to another town to save 50 cents on a purchase, something like that. I have spoken to the city manager and to the Karen Kano as well, and yes, there are definite difficulties facing us, but actually we're in a slight upward trend in our cash balance account. There's no silver bullets here. You know, it's not the end of the world, the sky isn't falling. We need the revenue. That's one of the reasons I've campaigned so strenuously on revised design guidelines, because with a streamlined permitting process to eliminate what we just went through with CVS, I should say what we're still going through obviously tonight with CVS Chase, we can attract more developers, more businesses when they know exactly what awaits them. And that if they concur with it, they can come right in. No resistance. It'll be very easy. And it'll also allow us to attract those types of businesses that we really want in Sebastopol and not have to be subject to a reactionary mode to something we don't really want. You know, we need more types of businesses that sell the things that we can't find in our towns right now. You know, the joke, standing joke is socks and underwear. There's nowhere to find those items in our town. We need to encourage those types of basic goods businesses. You know, the